Take out the nearest bill in your wallet, or open your banking app. Now look at the number on your screen. Here's a strange question: why is it worth anything? You can't eat it. You can't build a house with it. If civilization disappeared tomorrow, that piece of paper would become exactly what it is: paper. And yet, for thousands of years, humanity has trusted money more than almost anything else. So where did it all begin? What was the first money ever used? Most people would probably answer gold or coins, but surprisingly, both answers are wrong. To understand the first money, we have to travel back more than 5,000 years to ancient Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is now modern-day Iraq. This is where some of the world's first cities appeared. Cities brought something humanity had never experienced before: large numbers of strangers living together, farmers, blacksmiths, potters, builders, merchants. Each person specialized in one job, which created a problem. Imagine you're a farmer. You grow barley. Today you need a pair of sandals, so you visit the village shoemaker. But there's one problem. The shoemaker doesn't need barley. He already has plenty. He wants meat. You don't have meat. So the trade fails. Historians and economists call this the double coincidence of wants. For barter to work, both people have to want exactly what the other person has at exactly the same time. As villages became cities and trade expanded, this became a serious obstacle. Civilization needed something better. And that's where the story changes. Instead of trading random goods, people began using things that almost everyone agreed were valuable, not because a government declared it, but because people genuinely needed them. One of the earliest examples was barley. Yes, on the grain. Thousands of years ago, barley wasn't just food. It could also be used to pay workers, settle debts, and measure value. Ancient Mesopotamian records written on clay tablets show wages, rents, and taxes being calculated in barley. Imagine getting your monthly salary, not as money, but as sacks of grain. It sounds strange today, but if everyone needs food, then food becomes valuable. Barley wasn't alone. Another important form of early money was silver, not silver coins. Those didn't exist yet, and instead merchants carried pieces of silver and weighed them using small balance scales. If you wanted to buy something, the silver wasn't counted and it was weighed. The heavier the silver, the greater its value. No king's face, no numbers, just metal and trust. Different parts of the world found different solutions. In some societies, cattle represented wealth. Elsewhere, salt was valuable enough to become a medium of exchange. Cowrie shells traveled across trade routes and were used as money in parts of Asia and Africa for centuries. There wasn't one first money. There were many, each shaped by what people valued most. But eventually, trade kept growing, markets became larger, travel became longer, and weighing silver every single time you bought something wasn't exactly convenient. So around 600 BC, in the ancient kingdom of Lydia, located in what is now Western Turkey, a remarkable idea appeared. Instead of weighing metal for every purchase, why not create pieces of metal with a standard weight and purity? The rulers of Lydia began producing small pieces of electrum, a naturally occurring mixture of gold and silver, stamped with official markings. For the first time, people could trust the value without pulling out a scale. These became the world's earliest widely recognized coins. The idea spread quickly. The Greeks adopted it, then the Persians, then the Romans. Coins transformed trade, making buying and selling faster, simpler, and more reliable across vast empires. But humanity wasn't finished reinventing money. Centuries later, another civilization faced a different problem. China's economy had grown so large that merchants were carrying thousands of heavy metal coins on long journeys. Imagine traveling hundreds of kilometers with bags of metal hanging from your shoulders. It worked, but it wasn't practical. So during the Tang Dynasty, and later on a much larger scale during the Song Dynasty, merchants and governments began using paper notes that represented value instead of carrying the metal itself. For the first time, money became something you couldn't eat, couldn't wear, couldn't build with, but everyone agreed it had value. And that may be the most fascinating part of this entire story. Money was never just about gold or silver or paper. It was about trust, a shared belief, an agreement between millions of strangers that something could represent value. Today, most of the money in the world isn't even paper anymore. It's numbers stored inside computers. You can't hold it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, yet every day people exchange it for houses, food, cars, and entire companies. The first money wasn't really a coin, it wasn't a dollar, it wasn't even paper. It was humanity's decision to trust that one thing could stand in for another. And that simple idea changed civilization forever.